Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jordan. This is Krissa. Welcome to the start of my X's and O's Readathon vlog. I am so excited to be vlogging this long weekend. It's going to be a very fun, exciting weekend of my life, plus a Readathon reading, which I'm excited for. I am currently visiting my parents for the weekend with my kiddos. I've got my two big kids here to go to an aquarium today, which we're very excited about. Krissa, do you like the aquarium? What's your favorite part of the aquarium?
Seeing the mermaid at the mermaid show.
Seeing the mermaid at the mermaid show. It's gonna be a fun time. Obviously, I'm a bit busy today, so I'm hoping to be able to check in more later, but I did want to hop on and start the vlog. I am currently listening to our buddy read for the readathon called The No Show by Beth O'Leary. I have not finished it yet or really made any substantial progress yet, so no thoughts to share, but I will be back once I do have some thoughts to share on the reading. But I think we should probably wake up your brother and go inside to the aquarium.
Okay, Mom.
Okay, my friends, I've got another car update for you. This was not the plan for the vlog, but it is how things are going. It is the next day now, so it is day 2 of the readathon. I don't even know how bright this is showing up, but yeah, I've got some reading updates. So I want to pop in and talk about The No Show, which is the buddy read for this readathon. So bright you cannot even see the book cover. I started this book on audio yesterday and I read it through reading sprints last night, and I am currently on page 217. I've been going back and forth between the physical version, which I was reading on sprints, and the audio version, which I'm reading whenever I have a chance. So I also know that that's 66% through the book. And this is such an interesting book, you guys. It is getting very mixed, but a lot of really negative feedback in our Discord chat, which is interesting. I'm not having a bad time with it. I think it's okay so far. The premise of this book is we are following the points of view of 3 different women, and what we know from the synopsis is that they're all dating the same man. What we don't know is what exactly the circumstances are, because this book is written really strangely. Well, also the other hook is that they all got stood up by this guy on Valentine's Day. So that happens right at the beginning, but then through this book, they all are also having just weird relationships with this guy, to where like he's being really flighty with them and like clearly holding secrets from each of them. He uses different names with some of them. He has this mysterious, I don't know, situation happening with his mom. And then some of them are getting inklings that he's seeing other women. So just all these things are making him look like a really not great guy. Okay, putting you down because people are parking next to me. But kind of the big mystery of this book, or the big question I have, is why are all of these women dating this guy despite all of his red flags? And then really we're wondering, what is his deal? Why is he standing up all these women that he has? Why is his life so mysterious? Like, what is going on with this guy? And I have a theory. I developed this theory last night on Reading Sprints, and I messaged Gwen because she had finished the book and she told me to message her my theory. And the only thing that makes a little bit of sense for like part of the story, I'm not gonna share spoilers here, I'm just gonna say, like, my theory explains some of what's going on, but it definitely does not explain all of it. So at this point, I am just really, really wanting to finish this book to get all of the answers, to figure everything out, and to know what this guy's deal is. I can't say I'm really enjoying the book. Like, each of the women's perspectives, they are distinct, and I do have the female characters straight in my mind, which I'm glad about. I just don't really care all that much about their lives, and I'm not all that entertained by what's going on with them, other than just what is the deal with their relationships with this man. So that's where I'm at. I am hoping to finish this book today, maybe tomorrow, so that I can have those answers. And then I do have one other book that I'm planning to read within this readathon, but I'll just wait to share more information about that one until I get to it. Otherwise, my plans are that I am here down in Iowa visiting my parents with the kids until tomorrow. Tomorrow we will make the drive all the way back up to North Dakota, which is about 7 to 8 hours, depending how many times we stop. And then I will be at home for the rest of the readathon. So I should have plenty of time for reading to get through the 2 books I want to get through. But that is basically the update, all I needed to share for right now. So I'll be back once I've got more to share, life-wise, reading-wise, whatever. But definitely look forward to my final review of this book, because I could really see it going a few different directions. If I am surprised and enjoy the wrap-up and the ending, I would rate this book probably, I don't know, 4 stars maybe. But if I'm unsatisfied by the ending, if I feel like there are still loose ends and unanswered questions, then it could plummet also pretty quickly. So we will see. I'll let you know. All right, be back soon. Okay, friends, as you can see, excuse me, I am home. We spent most of yesterday driving, or I did at least, the about 7.5 hours that it took to drive from Iowa back home to North Dakota. And it is now Monday, February 10th. It is the second to last day of the readathon, so I'm excited to push as hard as I can to get lots of reading done. I do first have to update you on the no-show, which I finished yesterday. I can take this bookmark out. I did listen to the rest on audio, and I'm excited to talk about this one. This is a very interesting little book, and it's a little bit difficult to talk about because there is something you can spoil about this book, or there are things that you can spoil about this book. I think I gave a good synopsis of the book when I started it, and I think that's all I want to leave it at, because if I say any more, I might spoil it, but obviously when I was only halfway, I couldn't spoil it. And I will just give my final thoughts. So I am landing at 3 stars with this book, and it's one of those 3 stars that isn't just meh. Like, it's not that I have no feelings about this book, it's that my enjoyment was like at 2 stars the whole time. So I weirdly wouldn't say I enjoyed reading this book all that much, but my satisfaction and my intrigue of this book was like 4 stars. I knew I had to finish this book. I was not going to DNF it because I had to know how it was all going to be wrapped up. And overall, I'm pretty happy with how it all wrapped up. I think I got answers to almost all of my questions. Anything I still have questions about, I am planning on bringing to the live show so that I can discuss it with my friends. That is a huge perk of buddy reading books, is that you have a group of people that you can discuss it with, especially within a readathon, because even if the Fab 5 live doesn't have answers on screen, the people in the comments, I think, we'll be able to have a good conversation about it and hopefully answer all of my lingering questions. So yeah, I am landing at 3 stars. And ultimately, I would recommend it if the general premise sounds interesting to you and if you are the type of reader who, if you have questions about what's going on, if that makes you just really want to finish a book and you kind of get like addicted to that feeling almost, I think you'll have satisfaction in how this book comes together. At least that's how I felt. So not a new favorite book, but I am glad that I read it, and I am glad that it was our buddy read for this readathon because I do think it will spur some very interesting discussions. Though I know that there are a number of people who did DNF it, so I think also we will spend the live show spoiling the book for all of the people who didn't want to finish it so that they can also know what was ultimately going on. So with that, I am on to the next book on my TBR, which is The Brightness Between Us by Elliot Schrafer. This is gonna be another one that's difficult to describe because this is a sequel. It is the sequel to a book called The Darkness Outside Us. I am just in love with both of these book covers. And this first book is a young adult sci-fi book set in space that is ultimately a romance between the 2 male characters who are both trapped on this spacecraft. And it's all about them basically discovering what is going on, why they're on this spacecraft together, why they're alone, and trying to survive this situation that they're in. And there definitely are twists and surprises that come along in that book, so I don't want to spoil any of that. So that means I can't really talk too much about the plot of this book, but what you can know and obviously see is that the characters on the front are the same. So it does follow the same main characters, and it follows the events pretty much directly after that first book. So it's a true sequel, a true continuation of the story. I have just started this. It was available on Libby, so I'm only 7% of the way through the audiobook. So far, we're just kind of catching up on what has happened to them, where we're at now, and getting into the plot of the sequel. I'm super excited to see where this book goes. I am expecting maybe some more surprises to be revealed. I am excited for more development of the relationship between these 2 main characters because it is very swoon worthy in this first book. Oh, and I like seeing on the cover that they look just a little bit older on this sequel as they do in this first book. So I'm just excited to see how their relationship develops and what all they get into. So that is the plan, to make as much progress in that book today as I can. We do have reading sprints again tonight, and if I make good progress on that book, I could potentially finish it tonight on sprints. So if that happens, I will decide at that point what I want to do for tomorrow, the last day of the readathon. But regardless, I'm going to enjoy today. I'm going to be working on just like resetting after being out of town for a few days, resetting our house, getting caught up on chores and things like that. Nothing too exciting, but really good time for audiobook listening. Okay, hello my friends. It is the final day of the readathon and I am here with my final update because I did finish my second and final book for this readathon. I finished The Brightness Between Us. I made it a good chunk of the way into this book yesterday, continued it on during sprints last night. Also on sprints, I did some Valentine's nails. I'm not sure how well that's gonna focus, but hopefully you can see. So that was fun to do on sprints. We also did some trivia, played some games. Always a super fun time hanging out with the Fab Five. But let's see, after that, went to bed, woke up today, and pretty much made this my sole mission to finish as early as possible so that I can go ahead and get a jump start on editing this vlog. Kato's been my reading partner in crime since I typically play audiobooks out loud. And let's see, what are my final thoughts on this book? Unfortunately, I did not enjoy this book as much as I liked the first book in the series. That one had a lot more intrigue as to what the whole situation is that these two main characters are going through. And I really liked that discovery process that they went through. It also was much more about their romance as they were getting to know each other and then basically leaning on each other to get through what they were going through. When I read that first book, I didn't know that it was going to be a series. So I was pretty satisfied with where that first book left off and kind of just using my own imagination to determine what I thought these characters would get up to after those events. So it's a little strange getting a sequel that you weren't expecting to then continue on a story you didn't know you were going to get more of. And while I liked certain parts of reading about, you know, how they have developed, how their relationship has developed, and it can be fun to get more context, but ultimately I didn't feel like I needed more from these characters or more from this story, which is interesting because I did give that first book 5 stars, so I loved it. But I loved it as its own complete thing. And this is definitely not atypical for me. I rarely enjoy series or sequels, especially when the first book in a series does have a satisfying conclusion and it doesn't leave you on like a big cliffhanger. I don't know. So I guess there's nothing about this book, excuse you buddy, that I necessarily didn't enjoy or wouldn't recommend. I just didn't really need it. I'm gonna rate this one 3 stars, which feels like a little bit of a disappointment, but I'm at least glad that I read it and gave the sequel a try. If you did by chance read that first book and you do want more in that story, then I would recommend this as a perfectly fine continuation of that story. But if you're someone like me who doesn't always love sequels and you're fine with books being standalones and you don't need to see where the characters end up later, then maybe you'd be better off skipping this one. But ultimately, I'd say I had a pretty successful X's and O's readathon. I did complete 2 books. I gave both of them 3 stars, but I don't feel negatively about either of them. They're not new favorites, but I'm glad I read them. I'm glad they are how I spent my time during this readathon. And of course, all of the other events within this readathon have been a blast, chatting in Discord, doing reading sprints. Tonight we do still have the book discussion for this book, but I'm gonna close this vlog before that happens. I will link that book discussion in case you missed it and want to hear us chat all about the no-show, all of the spoilers, all of our theories, everything. Definitely check that out. Please go check out the other co-hosts of this readathon if you're not already following them. I do think most, if not all of them, are also going to be posting vlogs, so if you enjoyed this one, you might enjoy those. Please let me know if you participated in this readathon, and if you did, what did you read and what did you think of those books? Other than that, I don't think I have anything else, so thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.